Hey there, everyone. Welcome to another stream of PlanetSide 2's work in progress. Today we are going to be working on Hossin, Nason's Defiance, and I am your host here for the next couple hours, Dave Bennett. I am a systems designer and level designer on PlanetSide 2. So let's get started. So here we are on taking a look at Nason's Defiance, kind of from the view you would normally see it at. This is Hossin light. Hossin looks like evening or early morning. Nice little fog effects. And this is how I kind of normally see it. So I'll change out to our map renderer. And I'll get rid of these. Get rid of these trees. Don't need those. See our little different areas we look at. Terrible green boxes. So there's many different views that I take a look at. Let me just go ahead and look at. Show you. Ugh, there we go. That one. There we go. This is Nason's Defiance without any objects, the terrain. You can see it kind of has this undercroft area. This is one of the areas I'll be working on today. You guys all like the Ascent Cavern, is that correct? If you like the Ascent, you'll probably like what I'm working on here. This is very similar to it. We have this little area under here with a capture point. And we're going to flesh this out a little bit and fix some of the flow issues it has today. Leads out to the main fortress. I did not originally create this outpost, but I'm going to be modifying it for the Hossin release. This outpost is in the very center of Hossin. It is the crown or the ascent of Hossin, so to speak. It's another large outpost. Currently, the whole outpost is fixated in just this fortress. If you've seen the stronghold on Indar, you might recognize that this is sort of like two strongholds plastered back to back with a tower put on the top. And it kind of looks a lot like a Japanese fortress of the Middle Ages. You've got the upper level here. Thanks. We have the kind of this grassy area, and then you get up onto the ramparts up here and look out onto this swamp. So there's walls that are fairly defensible. I've been doing a lot of work on these last couple days. Before we do any work on these outposts, we have to start by optimizing them. So I know a lot of folks out there are like, hey, where isn't Hossin? Just release Hossin, it's ready to go. Well, the truth of that is it's really not ready to go. There's a lot of work that we did in Indar and Amrish and on Esamir to make the performance a lot better for you guys as you play on these continents. So one of the examples would be like right here. If you stop and look, and you can see there's actually a lot of individual objects making up this part of the wall. So I'm not going to do this now because it'd be very boring to watch me do this. But one of the things I'll be doing is replacing all of this with a different wall, like you see on Esamir and Amrish in a lot of places, which uses up far fewer objects and looks a little bit more like a wall as opposed to kind of a fencing. And it will still preserve the same rampart style. It'll just look a little different and be a lot more performant for you. Another thing that we do is replace a lot of these tiles that you see with larger groupings of the tiles. It's not particularly fun to watch me replace tiles, so I'm not going to be doing that today. A little bit more volume there. Excellent, excellent. Sorry. So, what to do with this base? So, this is intended to be a place you're going to fight at a lot in the center of Amrish, or the center of Hossin, my mistake. Wireframe. So, here's a overhead map of where we're talking. This outpost is occupying these four little chunk areas right in the very center of the continent, up on top of a big plateau. And on this plateau, it links to outposts to the south of it, which I'm going to briefly widen this so you can see the surrounding territory. Normally we don't look at stuff very big like that because it's slows down the performance of our editor. But before I get started, I really wanted to show you guys the plan that I have for this outpost and how we got at that plan. And while it's loading and I'm looking at spinning donuts, I'll see what you guys have to say here. Doesn't look like you have any questions for me yet. Just kind of talking. So I will lock this and take another look. So if you look up over on this side, you can see this is part of the dam that we have. This is another outpost I'll eventually get working on. So on the south side you have this dam outpost that goes this way and approaches from the south into Nason's Defiance. And to the northwest we have another outpost that comes through this narrow pass and likely up on these mountains as well. So they're going to approach through this way into this kind of rocky swamp, and then the same thing on this side. So it's a big triangle where we have two outposts or three outposts converging on this center outpost. So what we're going to get out of this, I believe and I hope, is a good swamp fight. That you can see that down at the player level here we have this nice little murky swamp, lots of rocks, lots of cover as you assault the outpost. And if you want to take the point in the bottom, you come down through here. Just never mind the plants coming through the floor there. One of the many things that will be fixed. And come down into this outpost entrance. And it actually goes right through the entire outpost and come out the other side. So what I'm going to try to do with this outpost is create some better flow. The initial reaction I had when I kind of started working on this guy is, apart from having a whole lot of objects to replace and thin out, you can see I've already thinned out quite a lot of them. I'm going to turn this center area really into a defender area, not the actual fortress itself. But I want defenders to attack out of this into the swamp and have attackers attack up into it, but not be required to camp the tower, for example, to successfully capture this outpost. We have entrances down into the undercroft here from the tower area, so I'm going to develop that out a little bit and turn it into staircases as opposed to these lifts, because staircases are much more fun to fight over, and lifts are kind of bad for camping. And currently we have all the points are in the interior of this fortress, which puts a tremendous advantage to the defender in getting in there and sort of necessitates the attackers to come in and fight over the center of the tower and camp the tower. So rather than have that sort of gameplay going on here, I'm going to give it what I call the crown treatment, or the ascent treatment, where I move a couple of the points out into this away from the main tower area to the exterior, like over here in this little swamp. And I'll build out some structures or some natural places or some bunkers or something out in here. And then you fight over these exterior areas, and the defenders also have to come out of the tower and fight through the tower, where the ramparts and the defensive structures are helpful for them, but not just an I win where they just sit in there and wait for the attackers to come in. They have to come out and capture these points out here. And that also facilitates, moving on to the next outpost. So once they capture this, they're already halfway to the next outpost, and they just carry on and continue on their path to that direction. So looking at it kind of from a top-down view, here we have the triangle, the three approaches to the place. I'm gonna get rid of some of these trees so you can see better. Alright, a little bit more crisp. You can see the roads coming down through here and the dam down here. So I want to put like a capture point right up here and a capture point right down here, maybe off to the side a little bit. So when you're coming from this base, that's natural that you capture this point first. Same thing with over here. And this is open enough that you can bring AMSs through and park over here to capture this base. So you're not really forced to go through the center tower, and then you can push on the undercroft and take the third and final point underneath the fortress itself. Or defenders have an easier time getting that point, but they'll have to fight out to capture these other 2 points. And the attacker's burden is kind of keeping 2 spawn points open on these opposite sides of the fortress. And then you have, at least what I intend to be, a fight for the whole area around this fortress instead of just kind of storming the fortress. You still have to storm it if you want to capture it quickly. But we want to have a nice little swamp fight here. There's lots of good cover, lots very Hossin-ish style. And that's the goal. Any questions? I'll take some time to answer questions. Tremel, how you doing? Buffering still working. No, working on empty race car. All right, so let's kind of get started here. Let's move into the underside. I'm going to lower this size a bit so it's a little easier to work with. All right. So I'll ask you guys, what do you want to see? Do you want me to work on one of these exterior points, or would you like me to kind of further work on this under area here? What would you like to see? Hurry up. Spit it out right now in the chat. Let's go. Make a base in a tree. We already have like 3 treehouse bases. I guess I could make one of these points in a tree, or kind of at the base of a tree maybe, a little bit in there. No, sorry, I can't get the resource revamp right now. I mean, it's just a couple keystrokes for me to put that whole thing in, but sorry, not today. Exterior, further treehouse. Okay, so people want a treehouse on the outside. So that's what you want, huh? Treehouse on the outside? Okay, we'll do that. We'll do a treehouse on the outside. So, which side to put the treehouse on? Let's take a look here. We got these big trees here, got some rocks. Okay, so I'm kind of picturing something that's like a, maybe some scaffolding or something like that. Let me go ahead and measure out where I want these capture points. So if you may have noticed on Amherst at once upon a time, there was a giant green ruler at what is now Wokuk Ecological Preserve. That giant green ruler was me doing measuring. Where is the meter stick? Here we go. So, right down here. So I take this little guy and then I will scale him up a tremendous amount, like to 100 meters. And then I'll just make him bigger. So this is a 5 meter stick normally, which I'm going to greatly scale up so I can move and see. And then use this to figure out where I want to put this capture point. So currently, looks like just getting to the outside walls of this little fortress is about 70 meters. This is, of course, as the light assault drifts as opposed to as the infantryman runs. So it looks like it'll be about 100 meters, maybe give or take, for defenders to leave the fortress at its shortest point. So if I were to duplicate this guy, take him out, there's about 200 meters out. So it seems like where the capture point should be, about 200 meters out, so it's about halfway from the fortress to the point. Do that on either side. 200 meters is a pretty long distance for a capture point, especially when you put it back to back. You're going to get 400 meters from point to point. This is a lot bigger than it really looks from this angle. The question is, which one would be a little bit better for a treehouse? This little rock cropping could make a cool little treehouse area. This nice little rock here, maybe something over top of this, kind of creating a little under swamp area for you guys to fight over. This side doesn't look as conducive to a nice little infantry or a treehouse base. Probably do something different on this side. So let's work on over here. So treehouse bases are kind of something unique for Hossin. Let's move this guy to about there so I can keep track. So let's move. Where's Bravo point at? Or Alpha, whatever. So we will take this guy and move him about to where we want him. So somewhere in this area we want a treehouse. Seems like a nice little tunnel entrance to fight through as you come in. So I want to take a little bit of time just to make sure I get this layout right and just kind of feel for this area before we go making a lot of changes. And if you guys have ideas, by all means, please type them out. 200 meters too far from Killswitch West. Yes and no. It is kind of a far distance. It's roughly the distance of most of the ascent points, and that worked out pretty well, I think. You get a good large fight. And that's pretty much what this is going to be, a big large fight in this area. But I can see moving it in a little bit closer. Make it like 170-ish. Like something like here. Put it way up in the tree. Okay, well if I want to put it way up in a tree, then I think we're talking jump pads at that point, and I think some people might have seizures if I mention jump pads. So I mean, even this is kind of big. Like, let's see how high we're actually talking right now. Other rotation. I'll get one of these right. There we go. So that's 100 meters up. Let's knock it down to 50. There's 50 meters. There's 25 meters. Still a pretty hefty distance upward. I think that's actually a pretty good spot. If I can build something out in between here, in this little area, maybe have a little AMS spot underneath. See if I can turn these side areas into areas that the attackers can fortify and use to fight out. You get kind of a two-fort style. Defenders over here pushing out, attackers over here pushing in, only it's kind of happening on both sides. And then we get this nice, more linear fight, which you can kind of go around to the outsides and cut through. So I think that'll work out pretty good right about there. So this is going to look really ugly before it looks really good. So let's look at some things to put in here. I imagine I'm going to need mining platforms here. Everyone's favorite prop. So let's do hiding under the water. This is gonna work out. Oh, there we go. Okay, I'm gonna have to migrate things over. The water makes it a little bit difficult to work with sometimes. I'm just gonna stash these over here. And then use them again later. So I'll probably need stairs at some point. We'll come back to that. So first things first, I want to see if there's maybe any buildings that fit pretty well over here. Buildings are always much nicer to fight in. You get the natural vehicle cover, provided they're properly sealed. So let's see if there's any buildings that seem to fit this situation. I kind of like building, what we call a B building. I like this building a lot because you kind of get that natural vertical area to it. It has the lower section as well. So this kind of building might work pretty well if I place it, rotate it to the side maybe, or the other way, create this little pocket. Let me show you what I'm talking about. So here's this guy. So no, we do not want to follow terrain. Follow terrain is evil. So something like this where I might be able to take one side of this building like this, and it's kind of an entrance, and then the other side can have this external up on top of our little treehouse, and then maybe build up some more treehouse stuff up in here as like an overwatch or an overlook right up in here. Maybe connect it up to the rocks on the other side. So my idea is sort of taking this little tree section, kind of combining them together right through here with like this building, and maybe either putting the capture point in the building on the second level, or maybe out on a platform above it. And that would leave room for vehicles to kind of, or an AMS perhaps, to park under here, which you can then use to assault the tower or assault this point here. So, what do you guys think of this so far? What's your feel? No banana building. Okay, I don't plan to use a banana building. Build up the rock area. Which rock area? You think like this rock area? This rock area? Put some more rocks in here. It's easy enough. I want to try to use the terrain as it is as much as I can, because I think the artists already came through and made this look pretty. So I try to use the environment as much as possible when I make this stuff. Saves me time, saves them time. Alright, so okay, people like it. Excellent. So we'll stick with something like this. This looks a little tight for... I guess it might work out okay for infantry. I can always raise the terrain up a little bit right through here. So let's make sure we get this building situated perfectly first. Then build around that. So I like to work in 45-degree angles whenever possible. It makes the rest of the job a lot easier. So okay, this little positioning might work out. Yeah, pulling this out a little bit more. So this is still like nice flush up against the rock here. And this piece is still makes this entrance a little bit nicer. Of course, you can come in on the other side. So this might be a situation where you could put like build out this rock a little bit more, and then put an AMS over here so they can come into the treehouse base through this direction, and then use this to fight outward into the swamp. This also kind of walls off from vehicle access. I mean, vehicles can get anywhere they really want to get. I'm sure there'll be mag riders up on this rock up here, there'll be mag riders on top of this building, there'll be mag riders everywhere. But just make it a little bit harder for them to do. This looks big enough to fit a Sunday through. And I can test that by grabbing one of our static sunderers. Another prop you might see laying around while we work on outposts is these little static sunderers that we might plop down and then forget to remove. So this guy is definitely big enough to drive a Sunday through pretty comfortably, and even looks like it's big enough. So this might be a good place to come in and actually create a little Sunday parking garage that's kind of protected under here. Let the attackers or defenders push out. So I'm going to get rid of that guy for now. So I think this position of the building is pretty good. I don't know if I like kind of looks weird a little bit with the water right at that level, but again, this is Hossin, so everything's flooded. So I'll let Mr. $1.99 taco combo. If that doesn't look right to him, he can fix it. But I think that looks pretty good for right now. So now that we have this, let's kind of move and situate some of the other things associated with this little area. So take one of these big platforms, maybe just for scaling right now. See what's going on with it. Stilts. You want to see stilts? Okay. We'll put things up on stilts. I think this will be a little multi-level capture point area down here. So one of the reasons we like 45-degree angles is we line up these things, it becomes a lot easier. So something of this nature. This is kind of cool. It's just the right height right there, isn't it? You can always raise up the building as well if this isn't quite the right height, or move the rock down a little bit. But I like this because this whole area is like perfectly protected from the tower itself, so you can use this. Light assault could probably get up onto this rock and start attacking out from there. And then you got the under area here for the Sunderer to be protected. And this side is kind of open for attackers, so if that's the case, then attackers will have an easier time using this little area. Okay, so I'm kind of liking the feel of this. Putting this guy out about there. So I can put a couple more of these, build out the platform area. I think I'll need to use some of the other pieces here too. So we have a little trick where you can use to align things. The trick is I raise it up a little higher than everything else, and then I replicate the positioning. Now it's perfectly on top of that guy. And now it's in position. I actually want it on the other side. So you can see that like I only used 3 objects here for this whole platform section, plus this building that was already created. So I'm trying to keep my object count down intentionally while I'm working on all this, because a lot of this is needed for this environment. You see all these giant trees, you see these rocks. This whole area is going to be used for a lot of environment objects to make this a cool little fun area. And I think that's what's going to be really fun about fighting here is all the natural swampland that you're fighting through in between these structures. So in order to make all those cool environment effects, I'm going to have to be really careful on my object count and keep it down. So our talented artists have plenty of freedom to go and pretty up the place and make cool little places like Bonix Log and other sorts of places in the area. So here we go. So this is, I'm thinking this is where our treehouse can kind of start. Come up here, now you're at this rock platform up above the rest of this little area. You could probably run up these sides as well. I don't think that would be an issue. Infantry can get up into these rocks. I think that's okay. This is not meant to be a super fortress here. This is just meant to pretty much get the infantry up and above, so tanks down here aren't really going to crap up this fight too much. Might have to do something about that, but that's more in the polish part. Alright, so I think we got this building, this main entryway pretty much situated. I'm going to forego the air cover for now. I think we'll kind of figure out what to do with this area over here. I could put another rock clump perhaps over that way, make it more like a little cavern tunnel. This is kind of open right here, so if you're attacking from this direction, I think it'd be pretty easy to spam this whole area, which I'm a little bit worried about. So I think we need some more rocky things over here, some other trees, and that would help go in with our treehouse idea. So let's take a look at what we have for options. Our Hossin tree clumps. We got a boulder clump I can use, something like this. It's kind of cool. Might come back to that one. Seems the right height that we need for a boulder clump. Oh, it's the same thing as this thing. It's got a little under thing there. Let's see what this looks like. Let's play with this a little bit. So a lot of times what we do in this creative process is just seeing what works and playing around with some things. And sometimes it pans out, and sometimes you waste a lot of time and have to redo a lot of things. Like I had like if you ever play at Sungray Overwatch on Amarish, that was a very different outpost when I first started it, and then it became a little too cumbersome. So I kind of like this, because if you're coming from this side, you can't really cover everything in this whole area, and if we have some tree stuff going on up in these parts, if I'm a tank and I'm trying to camp through here, it's very dangerous for me to be here. I'm gonna have guys with rocket launchers just firing in, and while I can cover this side, I can't really cover this side at the same time unless I'm kind of going back and forth. But if I'm going back and forth, you're gonna have light assault up on these rocks C4ing me in no time. So I kind of like that. Maybe make this big enough, but let's not go with the first thing we come across. We can always come back to this rock. Check out something else first. I need to get rid of this guy. Okay. Alright. Hossins. Put the point on top of the boulder clump. People want more buildings. Okay, so what do you want to see over here? Maybe another building or something more natural building into the treehouse. What do you want? You will be the ones fighting here, so what do you want? Buildings or nature? Choose now. Buildings or nature? I will go with your decision. I guess there's a delay on the chat. You guys haven't typed me yet. I'll wait a minute for your response. Sunken building. Natural. More flora, more natural. Wreckage. Can't do wreckage. Interiors. Nature, nature. Buildings. Nature, nature. Nature seems to be winning out here. And Clegg wants a BFR. So that is neither a building nor nature. So I'm going to have to reject that one. But you know what, I guess we could entertain the Clegg's idea here. We could just throw in... Yeah, I think this will work right there. Just plug in. Maybe it'll scare people, thinking that there's something there. Guard your AMS. It's like a scarecrow. PlanetSide 1 players might be terrified at the sight of this thing. Anyway, people seem to like nature, and Trammell wants a big forest ring. All right, I can do some trees. Actually, you know, for a tree house, we're probably gonna want some of these big trees, like these guys. At least one of them, maybe right over here. And that might look pretty cool with the roots. So let's see what that looks like. Let's see here. Oops, wrong list. Trying to channel my inner Bob Ross, but I think Devin really made that hard to top. Some pretty little trees, happy little birds. Tree group, here we go. Oh, it's a big tree. Something like this, maybe. That looks kind of neat. It's just the same as those other trees. I think we want something that's more like a mangrove where you get like the roots going on. Whoa, a lot of trees. Whoa! Getting more trees. Going over to less trees. Can't tell if this guy's got roots or not. Doesn't look like it. Husks. Brambles. Swamp bulbs. Not mucked around too much. Giant happy trees. Giant tree, here we go. This is what I'm looking. Whoa, wow, that is a big tree. Alright. So let's take giant tree. We'll plant him down. We'll scale him down a little bit so he's workable for us. So he's like a baby giant tree. Giant tree in the making. Whoa, what's going on here? Okay, it's a little more. Actually, I don't think this guy looks very good when he's scaled down. I wouldn't want to scale it down much more than it is. I kind of got. This is about half scale. I always worry about like stretched or crunched textures, make sure it still looks pretty good. This is kind of neat in here. Looks like these guys got displaced a little bit. Alright. I don't know if this tree's gonna work out. Let's see what other trees we got. Some of this process is a lot of... Oh no. hope autosave was enabled. So yeah, this is how how work sometimes goes. You make something, looks really awesome, you get it just right, and then you find out, oh, everything I did for the last 5 minutes or more is gone. And I have to redo it. Hopefully that won't be the case. We'll find out. I'm not seeing any buildings here. It's a bad sign. Oh wait, I haven't, my group's turned on. Okay, which side did I put that on? Not this side. It's the other side. Oh noes. Yeah, that's where I put the building. Alright, so we'll have to do this again really rapid-like. So let's go grab our B building. Oops. Sorry guys, I'm gonna re-situate this real quick. Okay. I think storage works out well. I like using storage buildings because they already have the crates. That's kind of a cheap way I can save on objects by reusing the same objects that are already inside the building. See these nice little crates I have in here? Alright. I'm sure follow terrain isn't on. Follow terrain is... Ah, yeah, little checkbox there. Oh, evil. Evil little thing. A lot of times you'll be moving something, you'll have to replace everything because follow terrain is on. And all the objects get messed up. And also need to remember to select the entire group and not just one thing. There we go. That seems to be about what I had it before. So it might have been a little closer in. Yeah, it looks pretty good. I like keeping that little nook there because then you can use it as cover when you come in from that direction. Alright, so replace the building. Let's get our mining tiles back. How quickly can I re-replicate this guy? Mining platforms. I'm gonna need to like raise up some terrain just so I can place objects down. Put one there. Quad, that's what it's called. Okay. Funny part about redoing something, come out differently than the first time you did it. Might be better. So maybe we'll extend the platform out a little bit further than it was before. Or not. Cut it off right there, rock. I think I like to also make these just a little bit thicker. They look like they have a little more substance to them. I'm probably also going to put a concrete slab or something underneath there so it doesn't quite look like like there's a bunch of painters redoing the building on the rocks or something. Looks like an actual structure. So, okay. Might have to do something with that. Might be able to raise up some terrain right there underneath the rock and kind of make that look a little smoother. Some dirt or something. Alright. Back to the mining platform. Okay, almost back to where we were. It might actually look a little bit better this time. Alright, mash that save button a few more times. Okay, so here's our foundation for our little base again. We want some more nature in it, so let's go back to looking at a few nature options. Don't jam it into the rocks. So you mean like this, Tremo? Like that thing? Don't jam that into the rocks like that. Suppose I can muck with it a little bit. Yeah, it's kind of cutting into the tree. It's going to be a problem. I'm going to have to redo that one a little bit differently. Normally, we don't have Tremel watching everything. And he just doesn't know. Alright, that's a little bit better. Can maybe put a little staircase up or something right there and make another platform. For our treehouse up in here. So one thing I kind of don't like about some of our other tree houses, and there's 3 tree houses on Hossin, so if you like tree houses, there's a lot of places for you to go enjoy. What is kind of tough about those tree houses is a lot of them are too high up and require like jump pads or really tall lifts to get through, and that's kind of really tough gameplay to get right. So I'm going to try to do here is what Klaus would describe as tree houses done correctly, which is kind of putting it at the base of the tree and kind of building up a little bit into the tree as opposed to being right next to it, or right way up in here, where you have to take a lift to get up there. That's not a very good fighting place, but there's a few places like that on Hossin, so if you like that, rest assured you got places to fight. Wants me to move the rocks. It's a whole big group. This whole thing is one big group. And I have to move the whole big group all by itself. Otherwise, someone comes along and refreshes it after they make a change, and everything I do is different. Let's see, now we got this little... I guess this might be okay. We could possibly leave that. Another way into the building, I suppose. I kind of like that it's walled off a little bit. So, make it a little closer. Can I just make the platform a little higher too? You know what, I'll just fill that in later with another small individual rock. I'm not going to bother with that. Making this like that. There we go. I think Tremel's happy now. Okay, back to the earlier question, or earlier issue we had, is finding out something to put right here that's very natural looking. We got rocky clumps, we got BFRs, we've got other forms of rock groups to put in here. This is kind of a neat little rock group. Let's just go ahead and throw that down there. We'll find some place to put it in a moment. I don't need shrubs, swamp bulbs. Nope, those don't go in this part of Hossin. What we can put in this part of Hossin is the red bulbs. Where are those at? I think they're called roots. Ah, there we are. Roots. These guys. Whoa. Why isn't this showing? It's just a light source. It's weird. Okay, I'm not going to mess with roots right now. Clearly, they're not done. Tree husks too. Tree husks could be neat. Could use that in the treehouse. Run through a tree husk. Husk group. Brambles. Giant tree 2. Whoa. Okay. So we'll try again with the giant tree. Because I love these little kind of mangrove roots they have. The other thing I could do is I can break up this section here and make it a little more, have it go around the roots as opposed to have the roots go right through the platform like that. So I'll fix that in a minute. For right now, this looks kind of neat. Maybe if I rotated this a different way. There. So it's up against it rather than cutting right through it. Lower this guy in the water a little bit. Yeah, this might be too low. Not quite sure why all these mushrooms are misplaced. Maybe I'm not supposed to scale these things. Thanks, Maggie. Save again. Okay. This looks a little bit more secluded, a little more protected up here. And we still got the entryway that you can come in down at this level. You still drive your tanks or sunders down under here. We still got a nice little place infantry can push out from towards the fortress. You can really put an AMS almost anywhere down in here. It's fairly well protected. So that's looking pretty good. Let's do something with this rock. Seal up this little section a little bit. Okay, this rock has foliage. Looks like it's down a little bit. Ah, so it comes out of the swamp a little bit. Sweet. Look at that. I kind of like the rock just how it is. Shielding that platform a little bit. So I'm driving along. I come through here, but I can't quite shoot up in there so easily. From this side, well, this side's just all rock anyway. It's a nice little grove right through here. Sunder will have no problem getting over that. If you come from this side, you can drive still right on through. Okay. I'll fix the floating mushrooms later. So Alright, this seems pretty cool. So where will the capture point be? So I got rid of the rulers, I'm not exactly sure. Oh, and the capture point is no longer there, so capture point also is back to where it was before. So I'm thinking like maybe right in here, this little area seems like a cool place for the capture point. Like this little platform. You can extend out some of these platforms over these routes a little bit to make it a little bit better of a fighting area. Something like this. Fits kind of nicely. Okay, so this could be our transition point into this other side of these brambles up into these rocks. I think I might want to put another way. Oh, there's no way up into the base building right here. It's just on the other side. It's okay, so we need some way up into this area from this side. Because the building only entrances from this side. So one of the things I could do is put like a little platform that's got a little jump pad that just goes up the short distance here. Tend to like that a little bit better than a lift. Could do maybe a little other platform or something with a lift right on this side so we can get up into this area. I think I'm going to need at least 2 entrances on this side. Maybe I could put a staircase. Seems like they're going to have no problem coming in from this direction. Or attacking out from this direction, which is also important. High up into the tree. Tremel really wants something way up here. Like way up here. Actually, no, he probably wants it like up here. Okay, I think scaling really messed up this tree. Deal with him later. Stairs. Yeah, stairs possibly converse. Treehouse, not a stump house. Well, these are trees right here. Put them up in there. Okay, I got an idea. Can maybe put something on top of this rock right here, and then have the rock chain up into the base of the tree right there. So it kind of gets up in here, but now we're sort of getting into range where it can be shot from the tower by cannons and anything that's sitting up here. Because there's going to be snipers right up in this little perch, and that tree is just like perfectly situated right there to be able to stop that. On this side we got this tree trunk and everything else blocking, so snipers will be able to stop guys coming down at this level, but they're not really going to put direct pressure on the point from the safety of the tower, which I think is important. Alright. Seems like a nice little place to put a lift or something right here. This could work out pretty well. I haven't put the other structures necessary here. These platforms won't just be floating like this. You got to put something underneath them to support them, either some arm supports or maybe a few concrete pillars, small concrete pillars, possibly some scaffolding, but I try not to use scaffolding too much if I can help it. Yeah, this is Alright, let's work on this for a minute. Back to that one. So we want to build something up over into here. Maybe this is where the cap point could be. Where are we at here? It's almost directly due south of the tower structure. I like that. Yeah, I'm thinking the capture point's probably going to be right about here. And then we'll have other areas like up in these trees be the kind of the overwatch. So if you have these positions, you have a much better vantage point on the capture point. So you want to capture these areas or hold these areas or use these areas to capture the point or to maintain your influence over the point. Build those out a little bit. Save. Part of the challenge of this is I am trying to keep the object count down, and it's going to be difficult making a treehouse. Treehouses don't like to not wrap around the trees, otherwise it looks pretty bad. So I want to bring in the ever important stairs asset. It's an elusive little asset. It's hard to see once you place it. Oh no, I think I lost it. No, I didn't. Yes. Almost a perfect fit. Kind of see what I need to do with these little rocky areas make it really hard. I'm kind of worried people might fall down here and get stuck in these little rocks. I guess it doesn't seem too bad. These little rock groups are everywhere. So. Alright, so you should be able to get up into here, at least top of these rocks. This is turning into more of a rock house than a tree house. But it does give you some nice advantage on this side. You can use it to get out of this area. So flow-wise, let's see what else. Attackers are coming in from this, or defenders actually, coming in from this direction. If they want to assault this place, they've got to come through here, up into where the cap point is. That's the most direct route for them. You're going to have to clear out all through here, cover on these sides. We built something on that side too. So maybe what I can do, I might be able to climb up some of these rocks as well. Yeah, I can probably climb up through here. I'm probably going to get stuck right around on that one. The other way is to come in from around through this rock area here, and then come up, which could be the same direction that attacker AMSs park and situate themselves. Could leave this little rock opening. Looks big enough. That might be okay so it doesn't bottleneck too much, but yeah, if tank was sitting here, then they can use these rocks to attack them. Wow, chat's just all over the place. Alright. What to do, what to do. Just got this little perch over here. Do the same on this side. Brambles are going to be problematic. And the brambles are part of this object. Well, just so I'll have to move the object. Becomes an interesting attack option. I can always block that off though. Alright. I think that's about what I want there. I got the rock coming through here a little bit. I can kind of fix that by moving this up a little. Looks like that'll work out pretty good. Gonna move this guy somewhere else for now. Whatever. I'll probably move that later. I'm going to flesh out that area more specifically. Okay, so capture point is right around here. From the capture point, you've got a little overwatch up here. You can use this to get up onto this rock. And pretty much have overwatch on everything attacking this entire point. So we'll have defenders coming through the trees, through the rocks, through the brambles, kind of working their way around to the outside. Nice little jungle fight. You can get on top of the building over here. Same thing on this side. You've got this wide stretch. So hoping this creates a nice wide front for this side of the assault, that the attackers, when they place their AMSs underneath this area, they have control over this point, and then they also have a point by which, kind of a nice fortified position, they can attack out from, so they're not just going to get pinned in by vehicles. This is probably one of the more vulnerable points to come in with a vehicle, but they will have, you know, this whole access to this rock and these platforms up here, so I'm not terribly worried about that one. As long as they have good access to this terrain, I think they can use that terrain to stop any vehicles that might come in through here. Might take a smaller rock and rock off this little area, create a better little sunder nook right here, so a tank that's just sitting kind of rolls over from, well, actually, it's pretty well blocked off from tanks, isn't it? Not easy to get in there. So tank drives around the obvious approach, comes right down through here, drives over this way. Okay, he's got a nice long route to come from that side. Guess I shouldn't be too worried about that approach. This whole little area really walls that off. I gotta go around this whole chunk here to come in. On this side is also pretty, not as well, because they can come right through. Well, maybe not. Mag Router doesn't care about this, but lightnings might get stuck on these little guys, and then you gotta clear this, so certainly not an easy path. A lot of ways to get stuck as a vehicle in here, I'm sure. Okay, yeah, I could see vehicles playing more of a role in the peripheral of this area, like out by the road and a little ways in. If they get too deep into the swamp, they're going to have a hard time navigating back out. I don't think there's a lot of maneuvering room here, so these guys start shooting at them from the rocks. They got not many places to hide. They might get snagged up on these smaller rocks. I'll save again, just for you guys. And for my own sanity, I suppose. Okay, I'm liking how this is coming out. I think this is going to be a pretty nice attacker bastion to park under and attack from, and facilitate a nice little swamp fight. It's mostly infantry. AMS parked underneath this thing. It's going to be pretty well shielded from aircraft. And infantry have multiple exits out from under there. They can come out through the side, come Come out through the back, come out through the little underwatch. So attacking this place, obvious is right through this choke point, which is a pretty heavy choke point. I want to give another way to attack. I guess through the underside is the other obvious way. Maybe I can cleverly put some... Oh wait, what's this? Maybe right here you can just run up. Maybe jump up to here and then jump up to here. Now you're... Okay, it's some rough terrain, but certainly not unexpected for players to do that. Might be able to do the same thing from this side. Okay. So now I think I need to spend some time developing this underside here, this backside. I'll go back through and flesh this areas out a little bit more. Because this is still a major flow question, is if coming from this side, how do I get in? If I park an AMS down here, how do I get up there? What are the ways to get up there? We can do staircases, we could do lifts, we could do jump pads. So I think all of those would work pretty well. Lifts and jump pads will look kind of weird in the swamp like that, unless I kind of raised up a little terrain and placed it there. So it's not, you're not building electronics in the water directly. So what do you guys think? What would you want to see here? Do you want to see little jump pads that kind of might take you up to here and then up to here, or little jump pads that kind of take you up in this area? You want to see a lift? Do you want to see the whole thing with stairs? You want to see a mix of the three? What do you want? Vonic really doesn't like jump pads. I think Vonic might want stairs because he's always going to be in light assault, and he wants everyone else to be at a disadvantage. Stairs, 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 stairs. Vonic might be winning this one. Seems like everyone wants stairs. Say, aha, I'm on to you, Vonic. While everyone's running up these stairs, he's going to be like hopping down behind him, shooting him in the back, going, haha. Then he'll stand under here, and he'll just hide and reload while they're looking for him, and then he'll just come back up, pop up, kill him, jump back down, and just play like he does with a tower pad. But that's okay. We can have places like that. Elevator in the tree. Actually, you know, the tree is kind of... Oh. What if, like, right here? What if there was, like, a lift right here? Takes you up to a platform. It's up in the tree. A little, like what do they call those at the top of a old pirate ship mast? I forget what those are called. The old sniper's nest, yeah. It's always possible. I can definitely do it right here on this little root cropping. That would look pretty neat. Kind of have overwatch of the whole area, but you could get shot from the tower, which I think would be okay, because then at this point you've got snipers and counter snipers fighting against the tower. That could be kind of cool. I like to try to mix up the long range and the short range combat if I can. I'm sure Vonic loves that, because that means all the people he's shooting with his shotgun are snipers with rifles, battle rifles, and all sorts of things. Crow's nest, that's the word. Yes, thank you, Shackle. So this whole base here is part of Nason's Defiance. This is gonna be one of the capture points of Nason's Defiance, and it's named Nason's Defiance after one of our GMs who passed away after fighting cancer. And in honor of him, Nason, we named this outpost. I'm also going to be renaming the dam that's right over here to the name of his GM character, which I can't remember offhand. So it'll be Fogarty Dam will be something else. It'll be instead of a Creedence Clearwater Revival reference, it'll be named after Nason as well. So a little extra honor for him. Yeah, Vonic, you already got a log. If anything, we'll make this Tramel's swamp cabin or something. This whole continent is kind of a NC themed, if I recall correctly. Kind of like how Dagobah was the little Rebel Alliance. Well, not really Rebel Alliance, just for Jedis, but whatever. The idea is that this whole area is kind of, I mean, it's, what is this useful for? Other than biodiversity, it's a pretty worthless place to be, unless you're a rebel faction building up a stronghold with which to strike out against the other freedom defiers, the tyrants and despots. The globes above the doors are lights, so these are light sources. So if I change this to, oh, I forgot, Map Runner doesn't have nighttime. If we go to Hossin at night, you can see that these globes are where the light beams shine. And usually at the very end of all this is when you do a lighting pass, and come through and take a look at those things. You can hide them as well, so I'm not bothered by them while I'm looking at this stuff. So when we come back through here, you'll see that this area will probably be illuminated somewhat, and so will some of the others. This isn't exactly Hossin lighting normally either. This is the map render lighting, which is a little different. If I want to look at actual Hossin during the daytime, looks a little more like this. Very green, swampy. So I will So folks wanted stairs. Stairs are, it's going to take me 3 flights of stairs to cover that distance. Well, maybe 2 flights and some rocks and some raised dirt, mud, muck, whatever that is. But I do like stairs better than, I think it needs at least 1 stairwell up, other than the one that's right there. Otherwise it becomes too easy to camp. But I think it might be okay to have a jump pad or a lift in another part of the park. The whole thing's big stairs, I think it'll be kind of a big scaffolding mess. Speaking of scaffolding mess, I'll show you guys what some of the tricks we do to make it look like this isn't so flimsy. So one of our other lovely props, good old wall support number 3, big concrete slab. We take this concrete slab, kind of move it around here and use it as kind of a base to the platforms. I kind of like this one because it has a nice little under texture, the side ramping. This makes a good tunnel lining as well. So you can take one of these and like kind of use it to frame the underside of these platforms. So it's got a little bit more of a solid look to it. And you can even do the same thing, make a little one underneath the stairs to make the stairs look a little bit better. But now it doesn't, looks more like you're part of an installation as opposed to it's just some platforms floating above the swamp. So I'll probably be stretching that, putting that other ways. Take another one of these, duplicate. Just forget to put on the snaps. Something along those lines. So now when I come through here, it's got the nicer texture in the underside of these flimsy platforms. And if you look at it from the side, it's a little beefier. And then it just needs a couple little supports underneath there for the slabs, and then it looks less like floating platform land. And then of course these I could probably do a little bit of scaffolding on the underside of these. I don't need to put the concrete everywhere. Water. Yeah, sorry. So, let me change this lighting back because it's really painful to try to work this way. Alright. I'll do more concrete plastering a little bit. I'm going to figure out if this is really what I want to do with this interior here. So stairs. Alright, stairs. Where should the stairs go? Might be able to kind of make the stairs a multi-thing. If I can put like a platform right here, maybe one stairwell can come up here, and the other one can come on this side. And then they both feed up into the underside of the roots here. So there's two ways up. I think either way I'm going to need to use the rocks a little differently. Oh yeah, these guys got the grass and stuff. Vine gets in the way. So no stairs there. Possibly stairs here. It seems like they're almost the perfect height to hit that rock right there like that. Let's try resizing this guy a little bit. I think this is a case where I kind of want it to follow terrain a little bit. That's all I need to do to it. Seemed to work out really well. I'll put stairs coming this side, stairs coming that side. Well, maybe. Kind of low. Hossin will be released when it is done, or at least done enough. These things are never done. And you can also look at the roadmap, which has a rough time for Hossin. Looked at too bad. Tree kind of comes through there, but now I'm going to do a little first terrain modification. I try not to muck with terrain if I can help it. When I do muck with terrain, I tend to be like a bulldozer. Wipe out entire areas. But for now, a little hill brush action. Okay, so this is all muck that I just rose up because muck is under the water. I need to change it to mud, which is the stuff that is above the water. Devin gave us a nice difference between muck and mud write-up. pretty amusing to watch. I never knew that muck and mud would be so different and entertaining. So right now I'm looking at a good brush to paint stuff with. That doesn't really matter too much for what I'm about to do, because I'm about to like cover everything. The mud. There we go. See, the mud got replaced by some little flowers here. So if you're coming in, you can kind of see the staircase and the flowers from the side. If I wanted to, I could also like raise the mud enough to make it a little easier to get onto these rocks right here. So I think I'm going to do that. Raise this up just a little bit. Alright. Looking pretty good. It's one of our staircases into outposts from this direction. And then we'll put another one over here. Which I think will go. Actually, that might be all we need, is just that one. I don't know, I worked out on the ascent pretty well. It kind of fused into the rock like that. I could put some bioluminescent stuff near these stairs. I want to put the red bulbs over here because that's what's supposed to be in this part of Hossin. But and I could put some like right in here. I could put some of those red bulbs, or roots as they're called, right here to draw the attention as you're coming through. You'll see the roots, you'll see the stairs. I can also put an actual light there, since this is kind of an entry to a man-made area. So, well, we still need a way to come up. Like if I park a Sunday under here, right now my only way in is to come through this, which is kind of open and exposed. But I'm okay with that being kind of open and exposed. Just don't want it to be too... I don't want that to be the only way for the guys under here to come through. It's just one way for them to come through. They could run around over here and run up right through here. Just one way for them to go. Also enables them to put their Sunday in many different places. But I want to put up a second way up. I don't want it there to be just like two staircases up here. You have this staircase, you got that staircase. Rule of threes, there should be 3 ways up. So what's the third way? Yeah, I'm also trying to... Yeah, I can always just move that rock a little bit. It does look kind of weird. Bonnick has a nice little hiding place under here. Okay, I think that looks a bit better. I can still use the rock to hide behind. Kind of like how this is nice and low right here. It's nice cover. And this rock right here is perfectly obscuring the tower. Almost perfectly. There's that little platform right there. You can see snipers would be able to hit here, but I can fix that. Actually, we still have these tree branches from these guys. Might be obscuring a little bit of that. And I can always put something else up here to kind of cut that in. I'm not going to be too worried about snipers that far away. They're going to have a split second of line of sight on guys running through here. Okay, so, alright, third flow, and then we can start polishing things a bit. So we got this little overwatch point, you got that little overwatch point. You got this entrance. I think something over on this side, right over here, is probably the best way. But I don't want it to block off this vehicle route right through here, because this is where a vehicle can drive in. This side I was okay with blocking because that was already kind of blocked off on that side over there. And this is still clear right through here. This is actually probably a pretty good AMS spot right here. You can just park it. You guys can run right up in to this area and fight. Or if you want it to be safer, you can park it like right underneath the stairs right here. And then you run around up the stairs. Maybe the other entrance doesn't have to be right on this proper structure here. Maybe the third entrance can be like over here, access into this rock area. So you can come up through here into this area and come down. Yeah, I'll do something natural. It's not going to be as obvious of a route up, but I think that's okay. Like right through these brambles here, like I'm thinking like right here, you can run up into the brambles. Brambles might be stuck. I don't know, the brambles might be problematic. This area does not seem particularly interesting. Come up through here. Come through the brambles. Need to be right here to get up. So try not to use too many more objects, but I can put a platform there. Seems like this little under area just needs an entrance. It's a little bland. Actually, what I can do, I have to move this rock a little bit. Or ungroup the rocks. That's probably what I'll do. Ungroup the rocks. And then maybe have it come up through the floor right here in this little corner. Have a lift that comes up and dumps you like right there. It's off to the side over here. Take the lift up. Goes through the floor like that. It's just a one-way lift up. That's it. Nothing fancy. And if it's camped, well, you can always use the other stairs up, and you can always use these stairs, or you could use light assault, or you can go say, hey, Bonnick, there's a farm over here. Come join it. Maybe he'll come and clear it out for you. Yeah, speaking of which, vehicle terminals, I was very much thinking of putting a vehicle terminal at one, if not both of these outside cap points, because this is not intended to be a defender area, or not intended to be an attacker area, so I think that having to come all the way in here to hack out an AMS is going to be kind of rough. But if I'm thinking of the one that's kind of in the north side that has two of these places bordering, I'm probably going to use a warehouse building for this one, right about here, and then have inside the warehouse a tank spawn. So you can pull AMSs from this point if you capture this point, or if you hack the point. And then if you have this point, you're coming from the this dam over here, and so it's probably easier to get AMSs down from that location. They have two ways in. These two guys only have really one way in, so being able to pull an AMS and park it over here or from this side, I think would make an interesting aspect. I kind of wanted to do that at the ascent at Charlie Point. I wanted to put a vehicle term right over there. I was contemplating doing that. Could put the point underneath, as someone suggested. Seems awkward to have a point down here, and I don't want to prop out this area down here because I think it's kind of already neat enough, and you have nice little cover objects down here. It's not super cover, but it's enough cover. And then use my object budget up here to make this a little more interesting combat area. So my focus is really on the flow of this area right now, trying to make it fun for attackers and defenders. Don't want it to be too porous, but I don't think that's going to be a problem. Yeah, I think I'm going to carve out, put the lift right here, right in this rock. it's not part of a group. Excellent. Oh, nice. Okay. That one also. If I had like a dime for every time I spent rotating rocks half a degree at a time, it'd be pretty rich. Okay, this seems like it's just big enough for the lift to pop you through. Yes, it will be campable, but that's the shortcut way in. It's not the only way in. It's not your primary way in. Unless you drop a bus off right here, but you could always take the stairs. So now I need to replace this big platform with a couple smaller platforms to make room for that. And I need to move my concrete slab a little bit. And if I do this right, I'll get by with a net increase of one object. Actually, yeah, it's gonna be one object. It's not just always about getting something done, it's also about getting it done efficiently. So efficiency is kind of always a goal. So now I've got my lift exit right there. I don't like that being so exposed though, so I'm going to grab one of these little rocks. And cover the top of this. So small that the lift doesn't pop you up and in. Okay. Now to raise up the muck down below here. Save. I'm gonna go ahead and turn off Flora as well. It's very disruptive. Oh yeah, there we go. That was my problem. Flora kind of eats up perf on the terrain editor. So this is just kind of flattening this guy out a little bit. Alright, so we got our little platform area. Need to repaint it with mud. So we don't put muck above water. Okay. Let's give you guys a sense of scale. Bust out the Green Army Man. It's a pretty high ceiling there. Plenty enough to bring a Sunday and a tank through. A little army dude. It's got some clearance right here with the lift to spit him out. So I want to make sure I've got plenty of clearance on this guy. Okay, so the guy's going to pop up through here and drop off. Probably put some sort of barrier right here so they're not like getting shot from this far side here, and the threats are only going to come from this side. But that is for later. Got a couple more minutes, so let me throw together this lift real quick and then wrap things up. I don't mind keep working, but I do have to slow down the stream so it fits nicely onto a nice 2-hour YouTube block. I think I may have made this entire stream without saying any naughty words. Anybody remember me saying anything like that? I don't think so. Maybe a first for work in progress, if I can pull that off for the 2 minutes. Save again. Okay, saved again. Saving after I place every object now. Where are... I'm trying to remember where the lifts at. Oh, there we go. This is what, 20 meters maybe? Oh, that's probably a little too high. I'm gonna put 15 meter. And that might be a little... Oh, no, I guess that looks okay. What's the 10 meter look like? I think the 10 meters a little too short. It's not obvious that there's a lift there. That makes it pretty obvious there's a lift. Alright, so 15 meter lift it is. Actually, that's pretty well placed. I don't think I have to do anything to it. So there we have it. Our third entrance into this little capture area. I kind of like using one-way lifts like this in a few places. So, I mean, if you want to go down, there's like 8 billion ways you can go down from this base, but there's getting up is always the problem, so I don't need to put like the whole double lifts up. A single lift works out pretty well. So you could park a Sunday right under here if you wanted to. Probably put like a barrier or something, at least a pillar like right here, so it's not quite so open. Pop your guys up, run over to the cap point, which will probably be, I don't know, right about here, or maybe right inside here. Could put it right inside the building, so you don't have to worry about some liberator sitting right here going ha ha ha, spamming the crap out of that. But I'll probably put some canopy cover on this as well. In fact, let me do that real quick as my final thing. It's a building awning, yeah. One of these awnings. These are great for canopy cover. It's a little big. Something like this, where our little entrance, at least one of the entrances, this entrance could be a little more open, but I want to make it so this entrance and the lift area is at least protected from, at least mostly protected from vehicle spam or air spam that might be there. Make this a little wider. So here you go, Vonik. Here's your little light assault haven. You can drop down on top of people here, whatever you want. Although anybody can get up there because they can come up to this rock. Just drop right down. The cap point area pretty well protected. Gonna have to slim that down a little bit. And I'll put like a pillar or something right there. That also solves my problem of, well, not entirely, but partially. Maybe some assets to put on the floor. Yeah, I could put something more on the floor to kind of sell the lift thing, but again, I'm trying to cut back on the number of objects. I could put like a platform underneath it. That might help sell it a little better for you. I'll take one of these guys. So it like bases the lift, so it's not just kind of floating up on the dirt all by itself. Is that what you're referring to? Yeah, that certainly looks a little bit better. Yeah, I like these little canopies. I think they do wonders against protecting from aircraft. And they also create some interesting gameplay for light assault because you can get up on top of them. I might extend it a little bit more so I can kind of cover up part of the rock there. I did use one of these pretty well, and that's a okay. Sure. I don't mind keep working on them. I'll just go back to the... So I've been told to to at least roll the credits for right now, just so we can put this segment up that I've just done on YouTube, but I will keep streaming right afterwards. So I'm going to play the outro, then shut her down, and I'll start her right back up. So if you want to keep watching, then just hold still while I do that. So here you go.